to ArcGIS StoryMaps. I'll be leading the workshop. Nathan and Eric are going to be answering questions in the chat. So feel free to send a question to the chat. So ArcGIS, is everyone familiar with ArcGIS, or is it a new tool? It's new? Okay. So we've had this tool for a long time, but Nathan and Eric and I worked to make it more user friendly. Before, you didn't have, it wasn't integrated into our Moodle system as well, and it didn't have a single sign-on, and the story maps had this classic version, so it wasn't as user friendly, but now it's a lot more user friendly. It integrates with your single sign-on, so you just have to click the link in Moodle. I'll show you where that is. Yes, you'll be able to sign in with your Augsburg username and password, and the new story maps is a lot easier to use, but I'll go over what is ArcGIS. ArcGIS is a family of client software, server software, and online geographical information systems serviced and developed and maintained by Esri. Esri is an international supplier of geographic information and system software. But ArcGIS StoryMaps is just a web authorized story map where you can share your research or a story with the public or a group or your organization. So I'll go ahead and get started by sharing my screen. Where you're going to start is in your course in this Augsburg tools section to the left of my screen. If you do not see that, you can turn on editing in Moodle and you can add this Augsburg's tool block. So if you don't see that, you can add it here from our list of blocks. And so once you're there, you'll be able to click on the ArcGIS Online link, and it'll take you here. Our URL for ArcGIS is augsburgu.maps.arcgis.com. And story maps is going to be in the list of tools. So if you click this navigation icon at the top right, you'll see story maps right here. And so that's going to open up the story maps workspace so you can create a new story. There's also a lot of click links. So there's tutorials, webinars, frequently asked questions. You can explore user stories. So if you want to get kind of an idea of what other people have created, you can do that. There's also tutorials for getting started. You can share and collaborate in groups. I believe we have to create the group at first, but once we create it and add you can share it. There's also organizations. So you can see I've published a story. So we're going to try and recreate the story. So Joe Underhill does a semester on the Mississippi River, and I thought his content would be good to share, and I did get permission from him to share content. But this is sort of what a story map might look like. A lot of images. You can add audio files. You can add videos, text to the page. You can add links, resource links, sort of like a call to action for the person viewing your page. And you can also add maps. This map is customized. Joe Underhill had this map created for him, but you could create maps that are similar in ArcGIS that share your research and your content. So we'll get started by creating a new map. So I'm going to click new, start from scratch. There's also quick start guides. So you could, start with a guided tour map or something like that, but we're just going to start from scratch. So this is going to load our story builder and our blank workspace. So the workspace is pretty user friendly. I would just click this button to add content, design elements here. I can preview it. I can also have a theme. So I'm going to change my theme here. So that way my images pop a little bit more. And I have my content here that I want to add. And I also have some pictures I'll add. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my title, 100 Days on the Mississippi. And I'm also going to add my cover image. So I have a lot of files that I've saved. So here, I'm going to go into my documents folder, and I have a couple images. So I'm going to add this image. Is everyone following along okay so far? Okay. And I can also kind of change the way that this looks too, if I wanted to. So let's say that I want the text over the page. If I click on design, I can sort of change how that looks. And then here I can just, if I click on the plus button, I can add text. So I can have like my basic things that I'm adding text, a button or a resource link, a separator. And then we have media, which would be like maps, images, videos, audio files. There's also a more immersive stuff, like a slideshow or a map tour. So I'm just going to add text. And I already have my text here. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it. And it'll paste right here on the web page. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is add some images. So there's an image gallery where I can add multiple images. And the image files that are supported are JPEG, PNG, GIF, your most common image files. If you take an image with your phone, you might have to convert it to a JPEG. Depending on the file type. So I'm going to select these images here and create gallery. So now I have a gallery of images for people to look at. I can embed. So Joe has that customized map that he's using, or that website that he's using. So I'm going to copy this and I can add that directly in here by embedding it with the link. So I have that, and then I can also change how it displays on the page as well. So I can make it large if I want to. And I can actually interact with this other web page that is embedded in my story map. And then once I'm done, once I've added everything I want and I'm happy with it and I like it, I can publish it. So I can choose if I want the story map to be private and only I can view it, or my organization or everyone. So I can click here and say publish story. And now I'll be able to view it as it looks. And if I want to change anything about it, I can. So I can go in here and go back to editing and say, oh, okay, I actually want to edit a couple of things about this. And so I could add a timeline or a map. We're not going to go into mapping as much. We will have more workshops that go over ArcGIS mapping, but I kind of just wanted to share this tool with you. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. If you wanted to add a button, you could add your text here. So I'm just going to put blog. And then I can add my text here. So if I wanted people to go to a blog that I've made about the river semester, I could do that here. It's also really easy to move things around on the page. So if I wanted, I could move this button up or down. So it's really easy to move things around. So you can see this is, I think, a pretty easy to use tool that can create really immersive visual content and share your story. It can be continually, I'll just read the question in the chat here. How are story maps different, similar to a blog? Can this be continually updated? They are similar to a blog, but yes, students can use this tool and they can be continually updated. Yes, so if you make any changes, you just republish the story. So I added that blog link. And I think the main difference is all of the tools that you could add in here. So you could add the mapping tools, where it would be, I think you wouldn't be able to do this on a blog as easily. But you could add mapping tools that ArcGIS has to sort of share your data. And you might be able to share like a web link, but it's within the same content. I hope that answers the question.
How is this used for a public presentation or a classroom presentation? You just, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you could create, like, let's say you wanted to share your research or something in a class, and rather than having like a PowerPoint, you could maybe do this story map. It's really just kind of a way to share either your research or like a multimodal essay. You could use this tool in class to have students create something. So let's say you have an assignment, but you want to allow students to be able to choose the tool that they use to be creative. This is a tool that's available to them.
And can this be recorded and then uploaded to Moodle, like if students spoke over it?
Oh yeah, I mean, you could use a screen recorder and record. The other thing is you can add audio. So a student could add audio to this, and you could be following along on the web page while the audio is playing. So students could add audio to this if they want to. I just don't have an audio file to add, but it is an option to add audio to this.
And if students were using it for a presentation, sorry, I'm being kind of deliberate about this, but you're just kind of scroll through it as you go,
Yes.
as if you were telling your story live in a presentation.
You also have the option to auto scroll. So you can turn on autoplay and it will automatically play for you.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think I saw a student use this in a different setting, not at Oxford, but he used it, I think, because first he said he had on his mask and he wanted to make sure people could hear him. And so, yeah, he had the audio playing. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's good.
That's really clever. So it looks to me like this is sort of a single page, as it were, like one single long story, as opposed to, say, like a website design where you would have multiple pages to click on. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll answer a couple of questions in the chat. What would be the easiest way for students to share their link with instructors? So once they publish the story, every story gets its own unique URL. So they would be able to copy their URL and share it with instructors. Yep, and you can choose who you want to share with. So you can share it privately, where only people with the link can access it. You can share it with your organization, or you can share it publicly.
Could this be used for a portfolio, possibly? Has anyone ever seen that?
I think it could be used for a portfolio. You know, if a student has a research project or a presentation and they want to make it accessible to a larger audience, they could absolutely include this in their portfolio. You can also print it. So if you ever wanted to print the page, you can also print it if you want to.
So Marilyn, I would like the photo gallery that you put together, but I'm wondering, instead of just pictures in the gallery, could you embed videos as well, so that there would be like an audio component that went with each image?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. So you can add videos, like you can add YouTube videos as well. I believe the image gallery though does have to be image files. So yeah, so I don't think you can add audio, but you could add an audio file underneath, or something that played throughout the story as well. Something that explains the images.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Ooh, sorry, I'm on this page. This is the original one I created. Sorry about that. What do you guys think about this tool? Do you think that it would be useful, or do you think that, do you see that it could have some use in your class?
Do you know, and this is Mira Lee asking, can you, like a YouTube a link to like a musical score that has an audio file? Would something like that be able to be uploaded in this?
Yeah, you can add video and audio files. So yes, and if it was YouTube, you can also add a YouTube video in here. So I did that in the first one.
Okay.
So here, this will play directly on the page.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm thinking this could be an interesting tool for oral histories, which, we collect a lot in the library for our digital archives page. But I'm thinking, like, instead of just having an audio recording or a video interview with someone, you could really do a timeline of their life or whatever it is that they're talking about, and have images that go along with that, and then like overlay the audio onto all that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you could. Yeah, that's a great use of this tool. There's another question asking about accessibility. I'm assuming this tool is accessible if a student is using a screen reader. Yes, ArcGIS StoryMaps does meet the standards for a website being accessible. So you can add alternate text to an image or a video file. It does meet accessibility standards. Mm-hmm. Oh, Eric shared something good in the chat that there's also a gallery of projects. So I'll share that.
That's cool.
So in here, you can search for things. So the filter products. So we're using ArcGIS Pro. And here's a lot of projects that people have created using ArcGIS Pro. I think, story. So here you could see like other stories that people have used. So if a student wanted sort of an example, you could share this. So I'm pretty still new to ArcGIS StoryMaps, but there's a lot that you could do in it. So like here's a better example of a story map than what we made today, but you can really make the story map immersive and visually stimulating to the audience. And if anybody wants to use this in their classroom and you want one of us to, share about the topic, I'd be more than willing to do that. If you don't feel comfortable going through the tool, I'd be more than willing to join your class session for a few minutes and share the tool and kind of how to use it and give a small short demo as well.
Does anyone know if this is ArcGIS is in the K through 12 system at all? I mean, I'm wondering about our students' familiarity with it.
It is, but it's not used as much from my understanding. But it is a tool that's available. And I do think hopefully that will get more use out of all of the tools available in ArcGIS as we learn more about it. We are working with a representative from ArcGIS to sort of learn more about this tool, to be able to help our faculty learn more about it, and hopefully our students learn more about it, because it is used a lot in a variety of industries. So.
If one was investing time in a new presentation, I'm curious if you might suggest it would, you know, thinking about time and payoff kind of thing, would a PowerPoint or is this, or this ArcGIS far superior, or just sort of any thoughts about that as you're trying to determine?
Sure. I think if you were giving a live presentation, a PowerPoint might work. But if you wanted someone to access your story or your research from home in an immersive way, I think this would be a good tool to, or a good resource to be able to create that story and share it with a larger audience than just the people who attended. Because I think watching a video of someone's presentation is not all, you don't always get the most out of it, but this is a tool to share, you know, with worldwide, with people who maybe aren't going to attend a public presentation.
It seems like it builds on things that people are already very familiar with too, on tools like a Word document or an image or a video, that you could pull all this together in a seems pretty intuitive way, fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they've improved the story mapping tool quite a bit. Before, it really was cumbersome and difficult to use. Like the classic story maps, you really had to know what you were doing. But this is so user friendly. You just click and add the file type or the text or the link. It's super easy to use. And so I think students would not need a lot of help with it if they were using this tool. But yes, in the story map guide, they talk about, you know, have all your content ready and sort of an idea of what you're creating, and then add it. But yeah, it does build on things that are already existing for sure.
And
And
then
I would oh, go ahead, Mary.
okay, I was just going to ask, where did you get the other overlays that you put onto Joe's map? Like there were indigenous lands and there were some other things.
Oh, so Joe Underhill had this created for them. So I don't know who created this map for them. This is just there are maps that are similar to this,
Mm-hmm.
but I would reach out to Joe Underhill.
But then like these indigenous lands and
Yes.
navigation and stuff, that he had all that done too? Or?
Yes, someone
Oh, okay.
created this for him. Yeah. So if you have questions about this, I would reach out to him, because I don't know who created it for him, but yeah, he had this made.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is part of his river semester research project. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to call out, this does very much look like what you'd expect a blog to look like, right? So it seems very similar. The distinction here is how much this can easily integrate into all of the other ArcGIS tools in its platform. And so if you are looking to make use of research data and a lot more data analysis and visualization, if you want to be incorporating interactive maps, right? This is already preset to incorporate all that very quickly and easily, like you would want to insert an image for a blog. So if you're looking to develop your presentation or research down the line, this would be a great alternative to a blog with some bigger foundations underneath to add in later if you wanted to. And I was just seeing some comments from Kyle was saying, she's seen high school projects being provided through about food deserts and very, social topics right now that are very important to be exploring. So there's, I think, a lot more interest in bringing this kind of content together in this way. So I would expect you'd see more and more students hungry for this kind of interaction and project and research that they can dig into.
To answer the question about story map presentations be handy to use in a workshop off campus, yes, you can absolutely use this tool. The link is already there in Moodle, but the URL is augsburgu.maps.arcgis.com. So if you wanted to use ArcGIS story maps for other things, you can. You can share it publicly if you want to. We can create groups for you so you can collaborate on them. I don't know if you can collaborate with someone outside of your institution. I'll have to look at that, but I know collaboration is an option.
I was just going to answer Tony's question about accessing ArcGIS. You start in Moodle and then use the link for the workshop. Even though there's a link in Moodle to ArcGIS, it's a separate tool. So you can get there directly with the URL that we provided about, Eric just posted there, sorry. Or start in Moodle, but either way you end up in the same place. And then once you've published that, you can share that link with anybody in the world.
If there aren't any other questions, I'll go ahead and end our workshop early. Feel free to send questions to Eric, myself, or Nathan. And I hope that, this helps a little bit in giving your students options for creating things. Okay, thanks everybody. I'll be sharing the recording on the CTL website as well.
Great, thank you. This is really helpful.
More to come about ArcGIS as well. We'll be having more workshops that deep dive more into the mapping and data analysis as well.
Yeah, thanks. This was really interesting. I could see us using this.
Great, good.
Fun to see everybody too.
Good to see you all too.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Bye.